Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we have a puzzle from the Dutch maestro Ard van der Wetering for you. Now, those of you who are familiar with the channel know that we've done a number of puzzles by Ard in the past. They are always brilliant, not always easy, but always extremely elegant, very narrow solution paths. So I suspect we're in for a treat today. I did think about starting with a blank grid and sort of filling in the numbers as if I was doing logic, but I realised that people on this channel are too clever to fall for April Fools, so I haven't done that. This is a real puzzle, no trolling, so if you start it and think that you can't get anywhere, that's not my fault, that's yours. Now, it's the start of the month, and that means Mark and I owe you a Patreon reward puzzle. Those of you who support the channel on Patreon, thank you very much, obviously, and we have published the reward today. And we thought we would do another sort of treasure hunt type puzzle experience. So there are sort of 3 linked puzzles there on Patreon for you that lead to a location where the treasure is hidden. It's a virtual treasure, so you know it's a sportsman's bet in that sense. But do check that out if you are a patron of the channel. The way it works is that you pay $2 a month, and then you receive the extra content that we publish there. So we guarantee a monthly puzzle, and we'll try and do extra solves there as well. So a couple of weeks ago I did a solve of a very good Filomeno puzzle, which appeared just on Patreon as well. For $3 a month you get the extra content, and you also get a video on how to solve the extra content as well. So any of you in a position to support us that way, it is massively appreciated, and we do try and make it worth your while. Now, what is this puzzle all about on the screen? So this is an anti-knight's move Sudoku, and we got familiar with these. Mark and I released a chess Sudoku app about a month ago, in fact, and it features knight's move Sudokus. So I fancy my chances with this because I did an awful lot of testing and creating puzzles for that app. How does it work? Well, let's pick a digit. Let's pick this 6. You have to think about this 6 like it's a chess knight. Now, if it was a chess knight, it could hop to a variety of squares. So it could hop to these squares here. That one, obviously, but that's got a 2 in it already. And we couldn't put a 6 in any square that is a knight's move away from this 6. So that is how the extra restriction works. So obviously, the 6 rules out all of these squares naturally. But you can add on this one, this one, this one, and this one to that collection. And it does lead to some lovely logic. And my tip for knight's move puzzles is to pencil mark more fully than you would otherwise. Definitely pencil mark if you can lock a digit into one of 3 squares in a 3x3 box. It is worth your while. Now, if you want to have a go, click on the link under the video as usual. That will take you to our software where you can play along. And with that, let's get cracking and see how we would solve this puzzle. Now, there are very few 6s we can place in one of these 2 squares. I was just looking for... There are very few numbers where we've actually got 2 of the numbers. 7s we have 2 of. So yeah, so 7, for example, it can be ruled out of all the yellow squares. This one, because it's a knight's move from that one. So we should pencil mark that in. 7's up here, maybe. Yeah, we get that down to a choice of 3. Twos. So 2s are locked out of those squares, so we can lock a 2 into one of those 3 positions. Now, this is why it's important to pencil mark, because actually that gives us an extra restriction. If we look at this box now and ask where a 2 can go, this 2 rules out those squares and these 2 as well because of the knight's move constraint. But can a 2 go in this position? And the answer is no, because a 2 here would see those 2 squares and it would see this one because of the knight's move constraint. So actually we can eliminate 2 from all of those squares and we just get left with pencil mark 2s there. And now this square can't be a 2, but we already knew that. And over in this box, Yeah, over in this box, look, this square can't be a 2. That will be a problem. And this square can't be a 2 because that will rule out both of those squares as well. So the 2 is locked into 2 positions in this box, which means that the 2 can't go in this square because that sees that one and that one. So 2's are locked into 3 positions down. Oh, 2's are locked into 3 positions down here. Can't see anything better than that. Right, so let's carry on pencil marking. 8. This 8 is nice. Again, in Knight's Move Sudoku, a digit that's in the centre of a run of 3 that's on a black edge is powerful because it rules out those 2 squares as well. So here, this 8 allows us to pencil 8s into those squares, and therefore there are 8s in one of these 3 squares here. 4 on the central box rules out those, therefore there's a 4 in one of those squares. Nine isn't bad as well because of the Knight's Move constraint. We get a 9 into one of 2 positions. Threes maybe? No, threes can still go in 4 positions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6 and 9. So we still haven't looked at the numbers 1, 3 and 5 in the central box, but we can't really get a very useful, certainly can't get down to 3 positions for any of those numbers. So I'm obviously missing something here. Let me just have a scan. 5s. Okay, I'm not seeing anything easy. So what we need to do now is to search in the grid for restricted squares. Are there any squares in this grid that, because of the Knight's Move constraint, we might not spot straight away, which are very restricted? See, this square is an example of a square that might not look restricted, but it is a bit restricted. It's more restricted than you might think because it sees a 6 and a 5 by the Knight's Move. Unfortunately, it doesn't see a lot else. This one? No. This one. This one's good. That sees a 4 there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5 are ruled out. It can be a 6. Can't be a 7 or an 8. Ah, no, it can be a 9. That's still really nice. So this square can only be a 6 or a 9. Now, can we use that to our advantage? Ah, yes, we can. This is gorgeous. Okay, we do focus on this square and have a look at row 3. And if you can't see it, pause the video. It's worth pausing the video to see what Ard's built into this, because this is very, very cunning. It revolves around this 6 and this 6. And asking yourself, if we try and put a 6 into this square, where can we put a 6 now in row 3? This square rules out those 2. This square rules out those 2. Now if we try and put a 6 here, look at the effect it has. It rules out those 3, and by Knight's Move it rules out that one. Good grief. So this is not a 6, this is a 9. Oh my goodness. I'll forgive myself not spotting that straight off the bat. It's taken me 10 minutes to spot it. Right, so this can't be a 9 now, which means this square... now when we get this 9, look, that's going to give us a 2, a 4, and a 6 straight away. So the only thing we've got to be careful about here is not using all of this additional information we've just got given, because this is a lot of extra information. So let's be careful. 9's first. 9 isn't that much more restricted. 2's we get the 2. Look, neither of those squares can be a 2, so that's a 2. Locks a 2 up there. 4 is locked into one of those 2 squares and one of these 3 squares. And 6 no, I'm not seeing much about 6, I don't think. 3 though has become more important, because now there must be a 3 in one of those squares, and therefore that square is 3, and that rebounds. Look, I love it when this happens. So we get this 3, but then it knocks back into these pencil marks we've only just put in and knocks one of them out. So you get a 3 there. So that 3, no, not quite. These 2 squares have got to be 1 and 5. Well, again, that does interesting things, doesn't it? So this square can no longer be a 1 or a 5, because if it was, it would rule out 1 and 5 from both of these squares. So let's just ask ourselves, what can this be? This can be a 2 or a 3. It can't be a 4 or a 5 or a 6. It can be a 7. That's not bad though. That gets reduced to just 3 possibilities. These squares here have got to be 1, 6 and 8 in some order. Now this is interesting as well when this happens, because that allows you to do a trick on this square. Because obviously this square here can't now be a 1, 6 or an 8, because if it is, it rules out this one. So say we put an 8 in here, it would rule an 8 out from that square, but also those 2 are knight's moves away. So 8 wouldn't be able to go in any of those 3 squares anymore. So this square is more restricted than it might look. And we've got 2's also not in this square. So what can this be? This can't be 1, 2, 3. 4 it can be. 5 it can be. 6, 7 it can't be. 8 it can't be. 9 it can't be. This square is a 4 or a 5. Now, can we do anything with that? Probably can, but I'm not seeing what it is. Let's pencil mark those in. They can be 4, 5 and 7. Let's have a look at this column now. You can see we need 1, 4, 5 and 7 to complete it. So this square here can't be a 5 and it can't be a 7. So this square can only be 1 or 4. Let's check all the 4s, check all the 1s. Oh, hang on. If this is a 1, it rules out a 1 from both of those squares. That's not going to work. So this square must be a 4. That one can't be a 4 at the bottom anymore. 4 is now 4 is pushed up into the top left of the grid, which means there's a 4 in one of those 2 squares. And now we've got 4's locked into column 7 and column 9, look, in this box. And in this box, I've locked my 4's into column 7 and column 9. So where are we going to put our 4 in column 8? Can't go here because of the knight's move, so it's in one of those two squares. This square must be a 1 or a 7. Oh, this 2's been hanging there. That can't be a 2. That forces a 2 up there. That locks a 2 into one of those squares over on the left-hand side. These 8s mean this square can't be an 8 anymore, because if we try an 8, it'll rule out that one and that one by knight's move. So this square... Oh, this was the square that saw 5 and the 6 as well. So this square is massively restricted now. This can't be anything. Ah! No, it can be a 1. It can be a 1. Oh, thank goodness for that. That can be a 1. It can't be a 2. This square can't be a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can't be an 8 for the reason I just mentioned. And can't be a 9. Yeah, that is a 1. That means there's a 1 up there. That can't be a 1, so the 1's in one of those 3 squares. Oh, now where can a 1 go in row 4? This 1 rules a 1 out from those 2 squares. That one can't be a 1 because of that square, so this is a 1. That's a 5. That means this is a 5 down here. This must be a 7 at the top. That forces this one to be a 1. 7, 7. This can't be a 7, so the 7s are locked over there. That 7, look, being in these squares, this can no longer be a 7 because it sees those 2. This becomes a 2 or a 3. Let's tidy up this 7 here. Now we also got this 5, didn't we? What does that do for us? Allows us to pencil 5s into those 3 squares. These 2 squares are 6 and 8. 8 here, so this can't be an 8, so that's a 6, that's an 8. Get rid of the 5s down there. This 6 sees that square. Fives in this box over here must be in one of 3 positions. That can't be a 6. So 6 is in one of 3 positions as well. Wow. Wow, this is not easy. Right, let's look at this row because we've got 6 digits in this row, so we still need 5, 8 and 9. So this square is a 5 or a 9. This square, does that see any of those digits? I don't think it does. I think, oh, it sees a 5 in the centre. That can only be 8 or 9. This square, I think can be any of those, 5, 8 or 9. So, right, so what do we do next? That is the question. Oh, now look, 6s, these 6s. They rule 6s out from those squares, but this 6 sees that one, this one sees that one. That shifts the 6 right up to the top, where it joins some friends. So we've now got a 2, 4, 6 triple in the top row. That rules those squares out from being 6, which means this is the only position a 6 can go in the box. That gets me a 5 and a 4. This 4 sees the 4s down here. Oh goodness, we're now looking a lot better all of a sudden. 6 is locked down into one of those two squares. Again, we get a 2-6 pair down here now. 5 can't be here. So 5 is on the right hand side of this box. So this square must be a 5. Therefore there's a 5 over on the bottom left hand side in one of those two squares. These squares here are 3, 8 and 9 in some order. 3 rules out that one. Oh, 8's ruled out from that one as well. So this square is a 9. This square is an 8 now. These two squares must be, what's that going to be? 3 and 7 in some order, and the 7 resolves it. Yeah, this can't be a 7, that must be the 7. This must be the 3. 3 is locked, and that gives us a 2-3 pair over on this side of the grid. So that must be a 1 to complete the row. These two squares are 3 and 5. So this square can't be a 5 now, because if we try a 5 here, it'll rule out 5 from both those squares. So that's a 9. This is a 5. So now 9 is in one of those two squares. What else do we need? We need an 8. That's got to be in one of those two squares. So if we have a look now at our pencil marking, this square can only be a 9. The 7 and the 8 are locked into these two positions. Let's delete the pencil marks and replace it with central pencil marks like that. 9 must be in one of those two squares at the bottom, look. These squares have got to be 5, 7 and 8. There's a 5 here, so the 5s are locked over there. The 7s can be in any of those squares. So these two squares have got to be, well, it can't be a 5 or a 7 anymore. These two squares are 1 and 9. 9 here fixes it. That's got to be the 1. That's the 9. That locks a 1 down here, look. And 9 must be now in one of these two positions. This 1 bounces back in there and sees that square, so that's an 8. So 8s are now locked into one of these three squares, I think, in the bottom right box, and I can see these 6s lining up. So we can see in this box the 6 is in row 8 and row 9, and in this box the 6 is in row 8 and row 9. So that means over here the 6 must be in row 7, and it can't be there, and this one means it can't be there. So this is a 6, which means that is a 2. That's a 6 and that's a 4 because of that 6 there, look. So now we've done most of the 6s. We haven't got a 4's pencil marked into this box yet. Oh, we've got a 5 here, so that square's got to be a 4. That was one of the early pencil marks that we got. That means that's not a 4. 2, 6 here. So in this column we need, why have we got a 2 there? 2, 2, shouldn't be a 2 in that square. 3, 8 and 9. So there's an 8 here, so this square can only be 3 or 9. Can't see how to eliminate one of those options. Oh, where can a 1 go? In row 7. These ones interact and rule out both of those squares. That one can't be a 1, that one can't be a 1, that one is a 1. Okay. So now we've got 3, 4, 7 and 9. So that square can't be a 9. This is 3. It can't be a 3. This square is a 4 or a 7 and it meets its friend there. So there's a 4, 7 pair. This must be a 3 or a 9. And both of those look plausible. Oh, but look, in this box we've got 5s pencil marked into those two squares. Now, we can't therefore have a 5 in that square. If this was a 5, 5 would no longer be possible in the box. So this is not a 5. This must be a 7. That's an 8. That's a 5. 7 resolves the 7 and the 8 at the top. That gives us a 4 here, 7 here, 4 here. Oh, there's a 7 down in one of those two squares, look. 7, 7, and a 7 in this square. So this must now be a 7. That shifts the 8 downwards, so there's now an... then now it has to be an 8 in this square. This 8 is very powerful, as is that one, I guess. So there's an 8 here, there's a 5 here. That fixes the 5, 3 at the top. And I'm not sure what's going to resolve this 2, 3 pair. Is something pointing at that I'm not spotting? Probably. Or this 1, 6 pair. Let's have a look at... I don't know where to look. Let's have a look down here. You can see we need 1, 2 and 3. The 1 must be fixable, surely. No, well it is, because this square can't be a 3 or a 2. So that is a 1. That fixes the 1 and the 6 and the 2 now. Now we know there's a 2 down there. That can't be a 4. Okay, so what now? This can't be a 7. What have I got left to place in this box? 3, 8 and 9, is that it? And I've got 3, 8 up here. So something must interfere with these squares. What square is it? I hate it when this happens in Knight's Move Sudoku because it's just so annoying. 9. Which square is seen? So this is 2, 3, 9 here. 9, 9. 9's in one of those squares. It's this one, isn't it? This 3 rules out that square. So this square can't be a 9 and can't be a 3, so it must be a 2. Right. That sees the 2 and the 3 up here. This 3, now look at that, bounces back in there and sees that that square's a 9. That one must be the 3. This 9 fixes that one's a 3. That fixes the 3, 8 at the top. That gives us an 8 there and a 9 there. Yes, what a puzzle. Oh my goodness, that was not easy. That was not easy. Not an April Fool. Let me know how you got on in the comments, and do subscribe to Patreon if you can. We really appreciate it. See you tomorrow on Cracking the Cryptic.